Hey everyone, and welcome back to my cozy corner. Grab your favorite mug, settle in, because today I want to talk about a book that genuinely blew me away and shifted my perspective on something we all grapple with: forgiveness. The book is Forgiving What You Can't Forget by Liza TerKeurst. And honestly, picking it up felt like sitting down with a wise, deeply empathetic friend who just gets it. I chose this book because, let's be real, who hasn't struggled with letting go of hurt? Liza's personal journey, which she shares so vulnerably throughout these pages, immediately resonated with me, making it clear this wasn't some theoretical guide, but a lived-out truth. Now, the core of Liza's message, and what I think is absolutely revolutionary, is that forgiveness isn't about forgetting, and it's definitely not about excusing the person who hurt you. Instead, it's about releasing yourself from the power that person or the painful memory has over you, so you can reclaim your life and find beauty again. She introduces this idea of defining your life by before crisis and after devastation, because in that, as she calls it, that moment when everything changed and left you feeling broken. Liza herself shares the raw, deeply personal story of her husband's affair and the years of hellish heartbreak that followed. Imagine that, right? Living through something so shattering that it divides your life into a before and after. But her book, thankfully, is about moving beyond that dividing line. One of the first things that struck me, and something I know many of you might be wondering, is how can I possibly forgive when the person who hurt me isn't even sorry, or worse, isn't even around anymore? This is where Liza offers such profound insight. She explains that your healing cannot be conditional on their choices, it's a choice you make. For your freedom, she shares a powerful analogy from her own counseling sessions, where she was asked to write down every hurtful fact about her husband's actions on separate threads of cards. Then she covered each card with a red felt square, symbolizing the blood of Jesus, declaring forgiveness for each specific fact, even if her feelings weren't there yet. This isn't about ignoring the pain, it's about acknowledging it and handing it over. It really highlights that forgiveness is both a decision and a process. You make the decision in a marked moment, like covering those cards, but then you walk through the ongoing process of forgiving for the impact that hurt continues to have on you. Think about it: a broken leg might heal, but the limb or nerve damage, the impact might linger, requiring continued attention. And speaking of lingering impacts, Liza tackles the destructive forces she calls the soldiers of unforgiveness: cynicism, bitterness, resentment, and trust issues. It's like these emotions become disguised villains that, while seemingly offering protection or justification, actually steal your peace and isolate you. She hilariously and painfully recounts a time she slammed her door, flailed her arms, and screamed, only to realize a delivery person was watching. Her counselor's words, "If our reaction is hysterical, it is historical," really hit home for me. It's a tough pill to swallow, but often our intense reactions are deeply rooted in unresolved past hurts. The book really encourages you to recognize these patterns and address them head on. Then comes the idea of collecting, connecting, and correcting the dots of her life story. This is such a practical framework. You look back at past experiences, collecting the dots, understand how they formed your current beliefs and reactions, connecting the dots, and then intentionally choose healthier perspectives moving forward, correcting the dots. It's not about denying what happened, but changing how it shapes your future. For example, a childhood fear of certain times of day, like Colette's dread of sunrises and sunsets due to past threats, can unconsciously carry into adulthood, affecting your current experiences. By connecting those dots, you can consciously choose to correct that belief and reclaim those moments for joy. Liza also dives deep into vulnerability. She talks about how she and her husband, Art, learned to be truly vulnerable with each other after their marriage implosion. They realized they'd been acting out scripts rather than genuinely connecting emotionally. The book emphasizes that healthy vulnerability isn't about risking harm, but about opening yourself to know and be known, loved and be loved, because you're already accepted and acceptable in God's eyes. This was a huge takeaway for me, that true safety and vulnerability starts with being safe with yourself and believing in your God-given worth. And what about those situations where the person who hurt you is still making destructive choices? Liza introduces the crucial concept of boundaries. She explains that setting boundaries isn't about shutting people out or being unkind, it's about shielding yourself from the consequences of their actions and protecting your own well-being. She candidly shares her own struggles with wanting to rescue others from their bad choices, only to realize that you can't change someone who isn't willing to change themselves. Saving someone isn't possible if they don't agree they need to be saved. She wisely states, "It's a painful but necessary truth. You can work harder on their issues than they are, or you'll burn out and suffer more." Boundaries allow you to continue to love with compassion without enabling dysfunction. One of the most profound sections for me was on forgiving God. Now, this isn't to say God needs forgiveness, but rather it addresses our human tendency to feel betrayed or disillusioned when God doesn't intervene or answer our prayers in the way we expect. Liza admits to feeling this way during her hardest season, wondering why God wasn't doing anything about her marriage. She reminds us that God is not a do-nothing God. He is always working, even in the unseen, and his silence isn't his absence. We often see only a loaf of bread when God might be providing manna, or even Jesus himself. His provision might not look like what we expected, but it is always good and purposeful. This perspective encourages us to trust God's bigger plan, even when our earthly eyes can't see it all. So, if you're grappling with deep-seated hurt, unresolved pain, or just find yourself stuck in a cycle of bitterness, this book offers tangible ways forward. Liza says that bitterness is a bad deal that makes big promises but delivers nothing you really want. It's a powerful truth. Instead of seeking revenge or dwelling on fairness, which only hurts you more, she encourages releasing it to God, trusting him to handle justice with mercy. The book culminates with the idea of living the practice of forgiveness every day. Jesus taught us to pray for forgiveness daily, like our daily bread. It's not about perfection but progress, making one better thought, one better reaction, one better way to process. Even imperfect, messy forgiveness is better than letting bitterness consume you. Ultimately, forgiving what you can't forget isn't just a book, it's an invitation to a journey of profound healing. It reminds us that our story is constantly being written, and while we can't change the past, we get to choose how it changes us. It's a call to move from being a victim to walking in victory, to let our pain work for us, not against us, transforming it into compassion and growth. If you're ready to lay down the heavy burden of unforgivenesses and step into a life of freedom, peace, and renewed beauty, I wholeheartedly recommend picking up this book. It's truly a healing balm for the soul. Thanks for joining me today. I hope this helps you understand the transformative power within these pages.